Hey, everybody.
Hi, how's it going?
Welcome, welcome, one and all. How is your challenge going so far?
Yeah.
Have an idea. Still on writing.
See
Oh,
if
you
you
don't have to ask in the community, Tammy. You can absolutely let us know. As we said last week, you can chat in with us via the help bubble in the bottom right corner and drop your question there. Or you can use the pro member forum, or you can email support@autocrit.com. Any of those will work if you're not sure. But we are going to touch on some of the questions we've been getting a lot. So maybe we'll have the answer to your kind of question right here on the live today. Um, we are going to rehash a little bit of what we started on last time. Do you guys hear an echo on your end? Sorry if you do. Okay. I'm going to mute myself here for a second. All right, no echo. No echo. Okay. So, awesome. All right. Some people do and some people don't. That's really weird. I don't have an echo on my end, though. I'm going to make this smaller. Hopefully, I won't have speakers overlapping. But Becca, do you want to remind everybody what the short story challenge is? I'll go find the registration link to drop it in the chat below because this is a free challenge to join. And then we will answer the frequently asked questions about the challenge content.
So what we're sorry, there's a bit of a delay, so I actually hear you twice. So sorry about that. Yes, the sixth annual short story challenge is one of our favorite challenges here at AutoCrit. You can actually still register to join if you have our instructions that are on the challenge page. So we're asking you to write a short story from 2,500 words and 4,501 words. You can't go under that 2,500 mark, and you can't go over that 4,501 mark. The theme of this year is one single day. That is going to be determined by the natural day of your world. So if you are on Venus, the length of your day in hours is going to be different than the length of day in hours on Earth. And then you must include an environmental change. And we are going to talk at length about what that is defined as. If you are already registered for the challenge, I encourage you to go to the dashboard inside of your AutoCrit. There is a frequently asked question kind of document that I put together so that you can get these questions answered and refer back to it.
Yep, and I'm actually logging into my AutoCrit right here, and I will pull that up and show you guys. Okay, so let me share my screen and show you where to go. Oh, we lost Becca there for a second. Technology, in and out, in and out. All right, so this is the AutoCrit dashboard, you guys. We call this the hub. If you're participating in the challenge, you have free access to this hub. So where you are going to come to find the list of qualifying environmental changes, as well as the other restrictions and things like word count, is to scroll down on the hub, past some of our featured events, to the very middle this week where we have this sixth annual AutoCrit Short Story Challenge requirements list and FAQ. Click on that post, and this will bring up an entire list for you. So if you submit a story for the challenge, our judges are expecting things similar to what is on this list. We also have an FAQ there. We've got our story parameters here, your need to know dates here. So we are very, very excited just to have all of this in one place. There are no twists in this challenge. There are no turns in this challenge. You guys have enough to deal with getting all of this together. So here is the link to the dashboard for you guys. So you can get that full list right there. And again, you can access this through your free AutoCrit account that you got when you signed up for the challenge. If you have not registered for the challenge yet, you do have to register, because the only way to submit your story for consideration for the trophy anthology is to do so through the AutoCrit Writer's Desk. So go ahead and get in. If you're having trouble getting in on the site, you don't know where your username is or anything like that, maybe you haven't been in a while, go to the login page. You can reset a password there, or you can reach out to our support team via email to support@autocrit.com, and we will get you up and running. But there's no need to overthink what kind of change you need. We have a whole list of changes for you there to choose from. So just go down that list, find one you like, plop it in, and you're good to go.
Okay, hopefully, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, and I can hear you, and now we actually have sound. Maybe it's the fact that there's an air show going on outside of my house. Like, my windows are shaking every now and then, so maybe that is contributing to my inability to live stream right now. Who knows? Okay, I see some fun comments. I want 4,502 words. I'm sorry. I can't give that to you. You must have 4,501. It looks like we also have someone who is at 4,509 words. Awesome. You're going to have, you're so close to snipping that down to get it to where it needs to be. How to verify that I'm registered. Do you want to take that one, Catherine?
Yeah, so if you have received the registration confirmation email, then you are registered. If you have not, you can reach out to our support team. There's a little help bubble down here in the bottom right corner of the AutoCrit site, and you can click here and click send us a message, and we are 100% human support team. There's no bots sitting here throwing you back scripts, so we can check and see if you are registered as well.
Yep. Awesome.
And
I
decided to go ahead and pull up the slides because some people were asking for the written version. This is in the kickoff replay last week. We're not going to go through every single detail again today because that was 30 minutes worth of last week, but you can catch that there. But in short, we are looking for stories that take place in one single day. That can be one Earth day. If your characters are not on Earth, it needs to be one average, whatever the day is in their time. One of the FAQs, Becca, was, does it have to be every hour of the entire day, or can it happen in just like an evening or just the morning?
Yeah, it can definitely be a portion of the day. It just needs to happen within that consecutive 24 hours. So it's that single day, or however many hours. I don't want everyone to get caught up on, I said 24 hours if your time delineation in your world is not 24 hours long. So interpret that as a standard day within your world.
Mm-hmm. Another FAQ question we got was, can you get around this by telling the story primarily in flashbacks and bringing it all together?
I mean, it's definitely a choice. I'm going to say no, because that just kind of, it's going to be disjointed. It's not going to flow as a cohesive story if you're just bouncing from flashback to flashback to flashback. Yeah, that I'm going to say don't do that. And I know that we had a lot of questions about the environment.
Yeah. We only had one other FAQ here on the day, and it was talking about starting or ending the story with like a prologue, epilogue type of deal, like starting 2 weeks in advance to set us up and then showing us the one day. We're leaving that up to the decision on the judging panel. I can only speak for myself personally. I would not qualify that as everything having happened in a single day. Now, a way around that would be to say it was the 5th day since XYZ happened, and then have us through the story, and at the end have a resolution that hints at help is on the way, something's yet to come, something like that, so that the actual on the page story is all within that 1 day period that you're given for the challenge.
Indeed. All right, let's get into some of these questions. Or we'll go into this. Yes, okay, so you need to, there's a question in here that says, in the chat, that says, so the environmental event must affect or alter the MC arc. They have to adapt to it, or it can, let's see, I think there was another clarification question in here. Let me find it. Where did it go? Yes, okay, so flashbacks, yes, you can have them. That's fine. Just if it's all a series of disjointed flashbacks, that's not really going to work very well. And we have the adapt and react to the environment. That is, so I use both of those words. If they adapt to the environment, they need to react in some way that it changes their behavior type of reaction. So we had so many questions about, is this an environmental change? And one of the things that I wanted to reiterate is it doesn't have to necessarily be severe. I use severe weather effects because it's an easier one for you to kind of grasp of. If there's a hurricane, that is a significant environmental change for someone to go through. But if there is an oil spill, that is also a environmental change. If there are, let's see, things like a non-environmental change, such as that is like an injury, it doesn't count unless it's as a reaction, unless it's a result of the environmental change. So if they were hiking in the woods and got, there was an earthquake and they fell into a hole and broke their leg, and it's all your short story is about how do they get off this mountain, because their leg is pinned under a rock or something terrible, then that injury is a direct result of the natural disaster, which was change their environment. They weren't in a hole to begin with. They are now in a hole because of that, and as a result, broke their leg. Does that make sense? Did I explain that in a way that makes sense? Otherwise, Catherine, please explain it.
Yeah. We have a list of environmental change questions that could whittle this down. I think that's a great overview. And I put this answer up on the screen because so many people were asking about it, that it's okay for your story to take place in less than one day. I do see a lot of comments about that. It can be just one morning, one evening, etc. But overall, exactly what Becca said. So individual questions. We've gotten a lot of these. Thank you guys for sending them in. The first and foremost biggest one is, if my character goes to a new place, does that count as an environmental change? And the answer is no. You are not, the environment is not changing around you if you go to somewhere else. If you get in a spaceship and go to space, space is the same environment as it was before you blasted off, and where you left from is still the same environment as where you left from. You are the only thing that changed. So you getting in a car and driving somewhere else, you getting on an airplane and flying somewhere else, you getting in a spaceship, stepping through a portal, that will not qualify as an environmental change, except for the one situation someone brought up, where if you are on a boat or a ship and a giant storm comes and blows you to a different location, we will let that pass because the environment is causing you to move. But otherwise, if the environment's the same and you're all that's changing, that isn't going to qualify for you. You're changing setting, the environment's not changing around you. Becca, how about, I've got the list here pulled up. How about a character's magic or powers or something else about them that they lose control of? Will that count as an environmental change?
No, because if you think about it, if you were lucky enough to get through the life with some sort of magical powers, like if I had mine, which would be, I don't know, if I snap my fingers and fire comes out, that sounds like something I should never have. That's just that's a part of who I am as a person. So while it would suck to have that disappear, it's not an environmental change. Losing control of that is not an environmental change. That's like losing control of your temper, for example. It's a part of who you are, not in this external force. And if someone were to take it away from you, that's still like Words.
It's like taking
Words.
away part of who you are. You know, if
Yeah.
you lose a limb somewhere, the environment hasn't changed. You just have to encounter that environment differently because you've now lost a limb. If you lose your superpowers, that doesn't count as an environmental change because you're just losing one aspect of yourself. The environment is the same. You are what's different.
Yes. Now we did get another question too of can it be a human human induced environmental change? Like maybe it's an explosion or a terrorist attack or something of that nature. Yes, those are actually big examples of environmental change, and there's a whole section of human induced changes. Climate things like we had a lot of like chemical spills or oil spills or things that change the environment of that nature. Those are environmental changes that are human caused, and they are absolutely something that you can use. It doesn't have to necessarily be the entire story about this environmental change or environment change. It can be, it just needs to be powerful enough that we can see where that reaction, that adaptation, that change happened as a result. So it needs to be a significant part, but it does not have to be the whole thing. It doesn't have to be a step by step of, you came across the barge that crashed into a rock and it's leaking oil everywhere and now something's on fire and you have to save the people and their dog. Like it doesn't have to necessarily be this like timeline like that. Does that make sense? I feel like I am not explaining things as well as I normally do and I apologize for that. Words.
Yeah, yeah. In short, I think the easiest way to think about this is your main character should not be causing the environmental change, but as long as they're actively impacted by it, if someone else starts it, fine. So I've been using the Fellowship of the Ring example because I'm a Lauder junkie on all of my replies to these kinds of questions. Sauron calling the giant snowstorm on the Fellowship as they try to go over the mountain is not an environmental change. That aspect, him calling it, doesn't count. But on the main character's end, them suddenly getting pummeled by a snowstorm out of nowhere qualifies. So if you have a human induced change or a other character, fantasy race, sci-fi race, whatever, induced change, don't forget to tie it back to how it actively impacts your main character. That brings it full circle. So yes, someone can cause the change, but that change then has to actively impact your main character in order to qualify for the challenge, because there's only 2 rules in this challenge. Have it be between 2,500 and 4,501 words, and have an environmental change that actively impacts your main character.
And
it
also
does have to be environmental. That is explicitly stated, though, and that was actually on our things. Can life changes count as environmental, like divorce, injury, illness? And I think, Becca, I saw you reply to someone that, if it's caused by the environment, yes, like this pollution then causes you to develop this illness, that would count. But otherwise, no, those are not situational, and relational and existential is not going to count as your environmental change.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be like super disastery either. It could be something like if you're doing some paranormal piece and the magical garden or a magical plant. Think Jack and the Beanstalk. You have a magical plant, right? The magical plant comes in and overnight takes over the entire town with this fun sentient plant with pretty flowers and no one knows what's going on, but all of a sudden you went to bed, there wasn't a plant. You woke up, plants. Like this could be funny. This could be weird. It could be quirky. You don't necessarily have to like go all in on the disaster scenario as well. Yeah, that's just an example. Apparently, I have been thinking about writing sentient plants for a while and I don't know that the world needs it, but if someone wants to write a sentient plant short story, knock yourself out.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we look at, and I know I'm letting my geek show a little bit today. We look at Howl's Moving Castle. There is this big environmental change at the end that forces them to have to leave home, right? Because other people are bombing them, and it's becoming unsafe for them to live there, and they have to move into their new house. Everybody who was in Howl's Moving Castle, right? That counts as an environmental change, even though it was by somebody else. But it's also not a massive, massive disaster for them. they are not impacted in a huge way beyond the actual move, and they are better off for the move. So if you want to have something that has a smaller impact, you can. I'm curious, especially for our romance people. There's a lot of opportunity for sweet, cozy changes. Like, boom, I woke up and there was this magical plant, like Becca was talking about, and now it's a matchmaking plant, and everybody who talks to it
make
gets
it weird.
a match.
Make it weird. Like, it doesn't just have to be like, oh, this is the magical healing fairy plant that has taken over our town and is welcoming us in with open arms. No, make it require offerings of extra sharp cheddar cheese and like a specific brand of soda or something. Like, make it fun. Someone else asks, so it can be as simple as a rom-com meet cute, like someone running to the train because it is pouring rain and they don't have an umbrella, and the love interest comes out to help them with an umbrella. Yeah, especially if the rainstorm is different than normal. Let's say you're in a desert town and all of a sudden you're not expecting rain. Rain changes everything and it just opens up and downpours on you. That's a really classic meet cute. And it's one, maybe they have the forced proximity, right? You are at a beautiful lake in the summer and then all of a sudden it starts snowing or hailing or doing something random, again with the weather, and you are forced to have this forced proxy. You're supposed to go shelter in the boathouse with the kind stranger or centaur shifter or whatever it is that you're writing. More centaurs, actually.
Yeah, it can be anything from a simple, calm rain shower or sandstorm, or I woke up in Memphis the other day and it was so cold, and then you go through the day and it turns 75 degrees hot. Okay, that's all in one day. That's part of living here, right? The environment is changing and now I'm shedding layers, and that can open up, other aspects of your story, and that qualifies. So it just has to actively involve them some way.
Tammy asks, does the environmental element need to be clear? Can it be ambiguous, as in the character is not certain if it's an earthquake or a bomb?
The characters don't have to know, but the narrator should know.
Yeah, I'm okay with a little bit of ambiguity. We still need to be able to ascertain that something is happening that's changing the environment, though. So don't go too vague, because otherwise it's just like, I don't know, the city is loud. We don't know what's happening. So make sure that you're using intentional word choice with something like that, making sure that we're having that sensory experience of like oh crap, I don't know what that was, I better run. Or you see the clouds of dust that are popping up and you're like, something's happening structurally around me. And make sure that you're having some of those sensory aspects so that we understand that this is out of the norm. This is a big deal. Does that help, Tammy? I hope that helps.
Yep. And we absolutely did not require the first person. So I saw some people earlier saying now you have to shift everything to first person. I'm not sure where that confusion came from. We have no restrictions on genre, on POV, on tense. You can give us any POV or tense you want. Please make it consistent. That's our one subtle ask. If you open in first person, please keep it in first person.
I did have someone write in and they were determined. They are very, and if you're on the call, because I didn't recognize your, I don't see the specific person on here, but maybe I missed you. I'm sorry if I did. They are very determined to write in second, and I say knock yourself out. The short stories and second actually work pretty well. I don't think I could write the whole novel in second because I think I might actually lose my mind, but knock yourself out. Yeah, you write in whatever gives you joy and tells your story most effectively.
There are no technical twists for the challenge either.
Nope.
Someone's asking about using tools. Now we have unlocked for you guys for free the AutoCrit Writer's S to use during your challenge. Not the entire thing, only the things you have to have for this challenge. So you can write in AutoCrit, you can click submit. There's a few automated editing reports that you can try to get a feel for how AutoCrit Pro works, but you do not have to purchase AutoCrit Pro to participate in this challenge. We have never required payment in order to participate in this challenge. So no, you are not going to be required to use pro member perks like the story analyzer. If you want to use it and you're a pro member, you're welcome to do so. It will not disqualify you, but we are not going to be looking at your analyzer with what you submit. We are not going to give you any technical editing twists this challenge, so we're not going to tell you you have to have this many showing versus telling instances or sentence starters like we did on the last one or anything like that. This is really one of the most simple challenges you're going to come across here. We want to see your creativity. We don't want to hold you back. So keep it in the correct theme and then follow the 2 challenge rules, and everything else is fine. Times New Roman, Calibri, Arial, all of those stylistic details are up to you. POV, tenses. Yes.
Okay. Dabbling with adverbs is okay. You can, yes, use as many adverbs as necessary. Remember, you are limited to how many words you can use, so I would suggest using your adverbs strategically. But yeah, knock yourself out. If you would like an adverb heavy short story, that is up to you. Yes, Julie, that would work. It's okay in the excuse me. Yes, there we go. The submission portal. Catherine got to it before I did. We will be showing you how to do that. I believe we are opening up submissions. What is the date? Today is the 13th. So we will open up the portal probably the end of next week if you want to submit early, but it will have a hard closing date of the 28th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. No matter, I do not live in Eastern time zone, but that would mean that since I'm on Pacific time zone, that it ends 3 hours before 11:59 p.m. my time, because we cannot, it doesn't work to have it adjust to everyone's time zone. So it ends at 11:59 Eastern on the 28th. You must have your story submitted by then in order for it to be sent to the judges. So please keep that in mind. And you can only submit once. So do make sure that you are 100% ready for it to be submitted, because unfortunately we are not able to reopen it and resubmit it with edits. That happens with every challenge. Is we get someone who comes in and is like, I submitted early, but I had a new idea and I want to change it. And unfortunately, once it's in our submission portal, we cannot retrieve it so that you can change it. So please keep that in mind. If it's already in the writer's desk, yes, you will have an option. So you will submit through the writer's desk. Joel, you are going to have the you're going to have a little box that will show up that we're going to show you next week, that you will have the opportunity to take that file and submit that file directly to the portal. It's very easy. It's a checkbox.
Yeah.
All right.
See. And we will do a step-by-step instruction video. That is what we have been doing the last several challenges. It will be here on YouTube. If you are subscribed on YouTube, if you're not, please do so. And hit the little bell. You'll get a notification when that video goes up. Otherwise, you can come find it in the replays after that live.
Trinity, yes. You can have a couple flashbacks. Just try not to make the entire story a series of flashbacks.
Yeah. We want it to happen actively in the one day, right? And really, some of these small details are going to come down to judge preference, and the judging panel differs year to year. If they feel like you follow the 2 rules to what they expect, then that'll work. And we're going to give you guys continual guidance. If you have questions, again, go to the pro member forums and use the thread there. Message us via the help bubble in the bottom right corner, or email support@autocrit.com. But please do this before submission day ends. We are not going to have judges sitting around at 11:59 p.m. on the 28th to answer the last minute, but does this actually count? Please have that done before submissions open.
Yes, please. Now, I didn't actually tell you this, Catherine, so I'm going to surprise you.
Ooh.
I know how hard it is to think of some of these things and to get outside of the box. So I thought, because both Catherine and I, so we have a few books under our belt. I'm going to put our creativity on the spot, so that's always exciting. I would like to open it up for the next 3 or 4 minutes. If you have a genre that you want to write in and you are confused about what kind of environment change could fit into that genre, drop it in the chat, and I will try to come up with a couple ideas that could fit that genre for you. You don't have to use them, but this is just to help trigger brainstorming if you need it. Read to Filth podcast asks, can we use the texting thing to ask questions? Yes, please. Please text us. That's fine. So if you would like any environmental brainstorming, we are open for the next few minutes if you just want to drop a genre in there and we can help give you some ideas. Otherwise, we can continue on our merry way with the rest of this update. Whatever works best for y'all. Test us. Test our creativity. I say I am on...
Cancers are like, yes!
I'm on my 3rd cup of coffee. I can see sounds right now. Okay.
Between cities and time zones is not an environmental change. That goes back to what we said earlier about how that is the character changing settings, not the environment of either place changing, right? Whether that's over airplane or a portal. But it's also not really a genre. But if you can give us a genre, we can give another example that might be an environmental change.
Okay.
Gothic fantasy.
Blood moon.
Mystical fog rolls in.
Yes. Blood moon or eclipse, I think, would be a great one. Let's see.
Mystical fog, raining blood.
Sudden silence. I like that one too.
Oh gosh. The wind dies.
Yes. All right, let's see. Romance. That is, oh, there's so many for romance though. So what kind of romance?
Well, they said close proximity. So what could force them into close proximity outside of rain, which you've already said?
Power outage. If you have something that could, drop the power out, rain, of course, snow, of course. Let's see. Heat wave.
A wild stampede of puppies.
Exactly. Let's
Around the World in a Day is again not really a genre there, but well, let's take that and twist it to adventure. So going around the world in a day doesn't count as your environmental change, but once they land somewhere, they hit a different environmental change every time. In one place there's a sandstorm, in the next place there's rain, in the next place it starts off super hot, and then by the time they finish lunch it's freezing cold and they have no winter clothes.
Yeah, nothing like being trapped in a blizzard in your swimsuit. So let's see, for historical fiction, well, you can do human induced, so it could be an invasion or occupation. That could work. Could be harvest failed for some reason. Man, I'm a ray of sunshine today. It could be, let's see. All I'm thinking about is like war. I mean, different aspects of war is definitely an environmental.
Well, and you can think about in historical and knowledge of science and things, how would whatever group you're talking about take things like an eclipse?
Yeah.
Throw us an eclipse.
All right. Yeah, I love a good eclipse. I love a good blood moon or flower moon or pumpkin moon, or name the moon after whatever you want.
Julia, I love that. Atmospheric changes from a wildfire turning skies orange.
For historical fantasy or fantasy historical, this is fun. Okay, hold on. Let me just I'm gonna
go back before I'm
gonna ADHD this. Hold on just a second. Can it have the Fae? Maybe it's historical fantasy with the Fae. I like it when the stars do weird stuff. So perhaps the entire night sky rearranges itself. That's going to affect a lot. It's going to weird everyone out, especially if you're in a developing world. So they're using the stars to navigate, and now the stars are wrong. This could be fun. That could be a really fun short story, actually. The night the stars were wrong. And like what kind of pandemonium results from that. Let's see.
Coming of age, that's a trope. But if you have a genre within it, I'm going to guess maybe YA fiction. Then that can be a lot of things as well. Let's see here. Someone says mudslide. Absolutely.
All right, let's see.
Tornadoes. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can do creative nonfiction, Tammy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you want to tell a fictionalized account from an actual story that happened, then that's fine. Okay, let's go sci-fi. Oh god, I've been trying to read a hard sci-fi novel, and it turns out that I have many degrees, none of which are in the hard sciences. So now I'm like Googling engineering terms. Gravity anomaly.
Yes.
Gravity anomaly. Gravity stops working.
Gravity changing.
Worst day ever. Aliens.
Solar flares. The aliens themselves are people, so that wouldn't technically be environmental, but if they cause environmental changes when they come in, like their ship brings radiation with it, that could absolutely be a good environmental change. Like, oh, when our spaceship landed, my sons were like, why are they spraying down the outside of the spaceship? And I was like, oh, it's, because of the radioactive stuff. And so, yeah, spaceship comes home, brings radioactivity with it.
We were just talking about sci-fi with AI horror that could work in some of how this is human induced. Like, what happens if one day the AI overlords who are slowly taking over all aspects of running this society, something happens, like a malicious code or something that changes the actual environment of the city because the computer that runs it has decided is now sentient and taking revenge on all of the brainstorming questions that I ask it. I don't know.
Cozy fantasies. So you guys know that I read more grimdark than I do cozy, but you could have flowers bloom out of nowhere.
Love cozy.
Poof, flowers. The smell on the wind changes. Everything smells like funnel cakes.
So, ooh.
Like everywhere you go, the wind. I'm
not allowed in this world. This world is not good for my heart health. Yes, seasonal magic shift. I think that could be super fun in whimsy. In y'all know how much I love whimsy. In a cozy fantasy, so you wake up in the middle of spring and or at the spring equinox, and all of a sudden it's the autumn equinox, and you're like, what happened? The magic switched, and all of a sudden you're in a different season. You could create aspects of your town environment that is using magic that is changing. I like to rearrange stuff. Ancient trees could be affected. I'm apparently super into botanical right now. So there's some options. What else are we doing? Yes.
Don't forget your lights, darks, your heat, cool. Go back to those senses too.
Yeah. Neurobio implants, Joel. Yeah. There's definitely some terrifying and interesting ways that you could use that. Electromagnetic field changes. Tammy, that's brilliant. Because if the electromagnetic field changes, we're all going to be feeling that. We are all going to have that issue. It could be a invasion of purple squirrels in the cozy fantasy world. Fun fact, here in Oregon, there's actually a beach that has a current rabbit problem, but they're like leftover. They're not like jackrabbits. They're pet rabbits that got loose and bred, and now there's just rabbits everywhere, and they're digging up all the gardens. It's like this town has been overrun by rabbits, and maybe that is it's a bunny invasion, and they're like the cute like little fluffy ones that you like see at the store, except you're like, what are you doing here, and why are 25 of your friends behind you? What's happening?
I have once more with feelings from Buffy the Vampire Slayer in my head with the bunny song.
Yes, exactly. So it could be bunnies. Solar flares. Yeah, absolutely. Cammy, ancient trees suddenly waking up with a warning. Love it. In fact, I immediately demand someone to write an entire 12-book series simply from the tree's perspective. I don't know what your audience is other than me, but know that you have at least one, and it's me.
If you want an army of emus, we want an army of emus. Bring us the army of emus. Yes.
Yeah. And actually, I am legitimately terrified of birds, so I might pass, but I'm gonna support you all the way.
Read the field. Usagi. Exactly.
All right. So does this help? Does having this kind of brainstorming help? Giving kind of, it doesn't necessarily just have to be, okay, I'm writing a tornado story. This can be things. Heck, if you want to make it weird, make the weather controlled by your personality or your mood. You're all of a sudden, you go outside and the weather is controlled by your mood. So if you're sad, it rains on you, but only you. If you, stuff like that. Okay.
All right. Well, I hope this has helped some. We will still be around. If you have questions, again, you can message us. We do want your questions. Just give yourself time to work them into your story.
Awesome. And yeah, let's continue this conversation. Again, you can find both Catherine and I in community if you're part of our pro community. You can also find us in our Facebook group. If you want to start, I think there is a thread in both of those places so that we can start sharing some ideas. And there is this a environmental change thread, so you can do that. So. Yeah, there's no requirement, Marina. If your main characters need to die at the end of this, you're in charge. This is not a happy, and there's no happy endings required. There is no content restrictions. If you're going to make it a terrible death, then that is up to you. And there is where if it's super spicy, that's up to you as well. So, there is a writing sprint at 3 p.m. Eastern, so you can keep going. Yes, they die and turn into a tree. And then Cammy is going to wake them up hundreds of years later, and they're going to issue a warning.
That's awesome. So, it's sort of like what would happen if the elves that were buried under the trees in Lord of the Rings weren't dug up and turned into Uruk-hai and were actually left to put warnings. Yes, super spicy, welcome. Super gory, welcome.
So this anthology is a trophy anthology, so it will not be sold for public. It's not going to be sold anywhere. It is literally printed and it's printed and sent to you as a winner of the anthology. Only the winners get a copy of it, and no one else does. So,
lack of resources, yes.
Pandemic, yes. But yeah, you can write spicy. You can write whatever you want. Do keep in mind that there are actual humans that will be reading every entry. So if you decide, we don't have this written down, but if you decide that your story desperately needs a trigger warning of some kind, put it in italics at the top. I will not count a trigger warning sentence towards your final word count. So if it is going to be something really, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that would be terrible.
Because if you don't, it will be skimmed through moi, who does not care about the trigger warning.
That will get. But yeah, if you decide I'm not going to require it, you don't have to put them in. But if that is something that you think that your story needs one and you want to put it in there, put it in italics at the top of your story, and I will not count it towards your final word count.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, some people like trigger warnings as a shopping list. Some people use them as what not to activate. I'm not going to get into a discussion about trigger warnings today. Just if you decide to use them, they won't count against you.
Right. And we will still read your story. Even if it has trigger warnings, it will not disqualify you. No. We'll just get you to the right judge.
Yeah, we have people that will read just about anything.
The title should not be at the top of your story. The title should be written in the title box. So I'm going to share real quick. So when you open a story in...
You don't have to have a title either.
Oh, wait. It's not showing. Hold on. I thought it was showing. Here we go. I'm going to make the screen big. In the very, very top left corner of your file in AutoCrit, there is a title box where you can click and delete and put, I can type, you guys, I'm just struggling today, title here. So that is where the title should go. Do not put the title here. That is the beginning of your story. If you have a trigger warning, that's where the trigger warning will go. Otherwise, the title should not be put in the body. If you type your title at the top of your story like this, we will count it towards your word count. So please don't put it there. Put it up in the top left corner. This also helps us know what you meant for your story to be named, so that we then, if you're chosen as winner, don't have to come back later on and be like, hey, so-and-so, we can't print this trophy anthology because we don't have a title for your book. So please, or for your story. So please put a title in the title section in the top left corner. Do not put your name in the file. It is anonymous judging. So once the finalists are chosen, then we will receive the list from the technical support team, who will match your entries to your accounts. So if I was going to open this story, this would be in XXXX. I was minding my own business. And then continue on the story from there. Title in the top left corner, story starts at the top.
Yep. All right. If you have more questions, we will be back next week and answer them. We are excited. Okay, so how many winners are selected for our trophy anthology?
It's usually 9 to 11. It's going to depend on the quality of the stories we get, as well as whether the judges can actually narrow it down, and the word count. Our trophy anthologies are about 50,000 words, so sometimes we can include an extra couple stories depending on which ones get chosen. Sometimes we're at our max with 9, so you'll find out when we find out.
But yeah, there's usually it hovers around 10. Sometimes we can get 11, sometimes it goes down to 9, but there's almost always the top 10 that get included in that. So we will have more information once we get to that judging part. But I would bank on 10.
We will release the short list like we do every challenge.
Yep.
So you'll get a shout out, and then we will release the winners, which are the top 10.
Yep. So cool. All right, you guys, I'm excited for what we're talking about. I'm excited for your story ideas. And yep. So Valerie, we're just wrapping up the live stream, but the theme is one single day. And then the there's a whole frequently asked questions whole document that's pinned on the dashboard inside of AutoCrit. And I think we can add that dashboard link inside of our caption on the YouTube stream. Can we not, Catherine?
Yeah.
So you'll be able to access that. It has all of the information that you need to do. I know that we are going to have to jump over to
office hours.
Yeah. But thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for putting up with my extra caffeinated self this morning. It's been, I should probably stop drinking so much coffee, but I've been consistently saying that for years.
Coffee for the web overlords here with your Team Plancer mug.
Gotta represent Plancer. Oh, my backward round wanted to. Woo, there we go.
All right, everybody. Yes, please do give the video a like. It helps more people find out about the challenge, and more people means more friendly competition, which we're all about. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.